October 6th, the Lincoln Speedway is where it's at in southern Pennsylvania. Our first green is out for warm-ups, and we have action already as Mike Garrett takes the high groove. Not to be outdone, heat race competition finds Jim Miller testing the guardrails. The start of the feature is also wild and woolly, as the crossed-up number 1 of Bobby Strasser sends Dan Dietrich into one of his many Lincoln tail stands. As usual, Dietrich returned to action in his well-built racer. If only Daring Dan could find an indestructible wing. An excellent event finds the number 99 of Freddie Raymer battling with the number 59 being chauffeured tonight by Jesse Wentz. However, it's the Lincoln master, Steve Smith Sr., taking the lead from Raymer midway through the 25-lapper. Victory Lane is seldom a lonely place, especially if your name is Smith at the Lincoln Speedway. October 7th finds the sprinters taking to the fast, sweeping turns of the Selinsgrove Speedway. Brian Miller loses his steering in the third turn. This race is the Jack Gunn Memorial, and the late, great, and highly missed promoter is no doubt smiling, as it will be quite a show. Again, it boils down to a red-hot Raymer-Smith duel for first. However, this time it's young Stevie in number 77, who's just completed his first year with the World of Outlaws, frustrating Freddie by taking the lead on the 26th circuit of the 30-lapper. Here's the second-generation star practicing some Victory Lane diplomacy.
Well, I'll tell you what, Stevie, you've done a lot of traveling this year. You've got to be a little bit tired.
Yeah, I think that's 75% of the problem. I think we're wore out. We made a lot of car changes this year, and we've just been struggling. We've been running against the best race car drivers in the country, and we decided we'd come back here and run with the other best race car drivers in the country.
Well, you did a great job. I saw you were testing Freddie Raymer on the inside a lot, really testing him, but your move to get him was on the outside.
Well, I was hoping like heck he came down. I don't know. We were working real good. Moon and Larry, they had the car real nice for me, and I could stay with him in the middle of the racetrack, and as soon as he moved to the bottom, we just motored right on by.
Good things often come in small packages. Kevin the Sleaze Eckert considers the quarter-mile Path Valley Oval the best place to see sprinters in central PA. One problem is it only happens a couple of times a year. Don't miss it. It's October the 12th. Freddie Raymer once again has found the pole and will be the one to catch in the number 99. Guess who's knocking on Fast Freddie's rear bumper? Why, it's the number 19 of Old Man Smith. We have drama on the back chute as Smith bends some parts while Steve Stambaugh steals a second position. Now a traditional red for Mike Lehman's layover allows Smith to pit while still holding the third spot. The restart finds the 12 of Steve Stambaugh trying to get by the very wide car of Raymer. Now Stambaugh is out for the night, and Smith is back in second. Also, the 57 of last year's winner here, Craig Keel, has moved into third. Both Smith and Keel let Raymer know that he is half a car length per lap too slow. With 5 laps to go, it's the veteran Smith getting the job done at last. Raymer held off Keel for second in this, another incredible late season event in central PA.
We've been waiting a long time for this. I know you've been a regular at Path Valley Speedway. We knew one time before the year was up that one of these feature events would be yours.
Well, I thought I lost my chance there. I was trying to get on the outside of Fred and got in the fence there a little bit and bent everything up on the back end. And Red helped me a little bit there. They beat things back out and just enough. And then Stambaugh had a bad break, but us three were going to have a pretty good little race there at the end.
But I'll tell you what, Steve, you put on a great show for all these people up here, and I guess there are quite a few of your supporters up in the stands, because when you moved out on the front end, you couldn't hear anything. But Smith, the whole way up through the crowd.
Well, I appreciate everybody for all your cheers and everything, and I just want to tell people here with a track, I mean, this track is beautiful. There's not even a little bump out there, and you can run high, low, right in the middle. And I want to say thanks to all my crew and both lobbies, Don and Bob and their wives, and just everybody. I really appreciate it.
October 6th, typical race fans fill the stands at Lincoln Speedway for a special appearance of the Super Sportsman Sprinters. This short half mile is a perfect arena for this competitive class. Unfortunately, the Halloween event would indeed include a very scary moment. It happened on the first lap of the feature. Dave Cordier lost power, launching both Johnny Murphy and Paul Troutman into backstretch tumbles. Troutman tries for the Lincoln altitude record, but everybody's okay. Johnny Beaver in the number 10 inherited the lead on the 7th lap and held off the number 12 of Mike Irwin, among others, for the 20-lap win. October 27th, Western Pennsylvania's standout rookie, Dale Blaney, is among the 29 sprinters across the border at Maryland's full half-mile Hagerstown Speedway. Steve Rucker is a victim of a tricky afternoon track surface. Steve, like many, is very vulnerable in his wallet, and Steve was not happy with this turn of events. Daring Dan Dietrich's dive for the feature lead ends along the rail. Scotty Auscherman joins Dan, as we'll need 2 more wreckers in the first turn. Johnny Mackison in the number 65 took the lead on the 7th lap, kept her straight on the black slick surface, and meets Miss Hagerstown in victory lane. November 25th, Craig Keel buttons in for Lincoln Speedway's turkey shoot. 30 sprinters are pitside for the 1990 sprint season finale. Dan Dietrich provides the photographers with a tail stand early in the feature. Dan returned to competition with a new wing. The luck of the draw once again finds the 99 of Fast Freddie Raymer leading from the pole. Once again, it would be a fantastic race as well. The 17 of Chris Aish, usually fast on Thanksgiving, simply races side by side with Raymer throughout most of the 30-lapper. However, this time, Raymer finally has the hot shoe, edging out the young outlaw star for the win. Today's win here also crowns Fast Freddie the 1990 Central Pennsylvania point champion. November 24th, the final event of the racing season is the original Thanksgiving race, the Turkey Derby for the awesome asphalt modifieds at Wall Stadium. Located just northeast of Philly, this high-banked and well-run third-mile oval flags off the first race today at 9 a.m. Just watch the early bird action. Wall's easily climbed wooden guardrail can send even the low-slung pavement pounders into spills. Just ask Robert Thomas. However, flips are usually more spectacular than dangerous, and Bob is okay. The wood fence may actually be a valuable safety asset if the first lap of the 150-lap feature is any indication. Watch what happens to John Blewett. Crashes similar to this against concrete or steel have been leaving asphalt modified drivers badly hurt or worse. John is okay. Asphalt mods are known to be difficult to pass in, but somebody forgot to tell Lenny Boyd today at Wall Stadium. Lenny in number 22 came from 10th starting position to take the lead from the number 99 of Tim R. on the 102nd lap for a well-earned win. February 15th, 1991. The off-season hosts many racing trade shows, but Harrisburg's Motorama could perhaps top them all with racing in the Farm Show Arena, highlighted by a micro feature for the area's sprint car stars. Not to mention all the usual trade show trimmings. Although the Odysseys gave it their best, the first flip of the season goes to the micros. Even on the tiny indoor track, wingless flips can produce arm-flailing drivers. Everyone's okay. That's Todd Schaeffer making a move in the orange number 42. The show here is motocross oriented, a non-spectator form of motorsport. And the reasons become obvious, as countless classes of cycles, quads, etc., some with as few as 2 entries, chase most of the crowd home before the number 8 of Chris Aish leads the sprint drivers across the finish line at nearly 1 a.m. March 9th finds us visiting Hanover's short half-mile Lincoln Speedway. A major facelifting here has found a larger pit area and high banking in the first turn. Many educated fans feel that Lincoln is the circuit's most perfectly sized oval for the best in sprint car competition. The afternoon surface finds racing in the high groove to be quite a challenge. The early season story has been Lincoln's premier star, Steve Smith, who already has wins in Florida, along with opening day victories at Hagerstown, Lincoln, and Williams Grove. High point man after last week's win, the number 19 of Steve Smith starts in the 12th position. The slick surface combined with a very quick non-stop Lincoln feature allowed Smith to advance only to 3rd. Meanwhile, Steve Siegel has escaped the honesty of only 1-week-old points handicapping, starting Van May's number 69 on the pole and leading every lap.
Lincoln Speedway's changed a little bit since last season. What's your thoughts on the new Lincoln Speedway?
Well, like these day races, make it hard to judge, but like today, it was pretty nice to me, I thought. But I think nighttime racing here is going to be really nice, real fast. I think you're going to have a couple lanes. I think it's going to be really good racing for the fans, and I think you're going to see a bunch of different winners here.
On March 10th, Williams Grove finds 40 sprinters pit side. This legendary half-mile continues to be sprint car racing's premier facility in the East. Many tracks feature several support classes, sometimes as many as 3 stock car classes. These diluted classes frequently do pay more to race than their purse. However, they also frequently drag out the shows, encouraging family-type fans to seek entertainment elsewhere. Williams Grove so far has resisted this trend, frequently featuring only the sprinters and at the most, 1 other rotating visiting class. 3 abreast into the turn. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. As was the case at Lincoln yesterday, Steve Smith has won the opener here and thus has been handicapped to the gentleman's 12th starting position. Here, the 65 of Johnny Mackison battles the 23 of Frankie Kerr for the early feature lead. However, even on the slick daytime racing surface, red-hot Steve Smith in his number 19 needs only 10 laps to move through the field, taking the lead from Kerr for an easy but nonetheless well-earned win.
I think you got some fans over there, Steve.
Well, I'm sure glad to hear them claps and some of the boos. That just means you're going good, so I'm glad to hear a few of them too.
March 17th finds Western PA's Ed Lynch preparing for a long overdue first annual Williams Grove Jack Gunn Memorial. However, it would not be a good day for Ed. 41 sprinters would attempt to qualify for the 24 feature starting spots. The hardest racing can often be found for the final qualifying spot on the last lap of the Consi. The 7 of Paul Latier has come from the rear after spinning to challenge the 2 of Ed Lynch in just this situation. Both drivers are okay, but out for the day. Time trials replaced points handicapping for today's special event. Ex-outlaw Jeff Swindell in the Weikert number 29 leads from the front row, but is feeling the pressure of a smoking Steve Smith who had started 3rd. Smith fell to the pits with 5 laps to go, but the restart finds Frankie Kerr in the number 23, who had started 4th, slipping past Swindell with apparent ease for a win in the 30-lap event. Here's Frankie and family, along with Jack Gunn's mother Mabel, after the $5,000 win. March 30th, Lincoln Speedway. The first lap of the first heat finds Bobby Landis over and out. The higher banking continues to be used mostly for misadventures. The Outlaws' outlaw, Jack Hewitt, has the pole tonight in number 63. The start of the feature finds the 66 of Bobby Fletcher pulling away from Hewitt like there's nothing to it. However, Fletcher's lap traffic conservativeness finds Hewitt taking the lead on the 10th lap. Dewitt Hewitt would hold off the 114 of Mimi DeSantis and the number 1 of Kenny Jacobs for the win.
They think CRA's tough at Ascot, but until you come over here on this side of Pennsylvania now, you found the toughest in the world. And maybe we did start on the pole tonight to win, but I don't think I'm going to think about that going home. We want to feature over here, you know, Kenny and Brad Doty and Jack Hodenshield and all the Dave Blaney. They've won over here before, and we're a little older than all of them, but we still won one. And God, I'm tickled to death, you know. I got to thank Bob Hampshire.
Well, Jack, you had it was a nonstop feature there, and I know there was a lot of cars battling for that second spot right behind you, but it seemed like you handled yourself well when you got into that lap traffic.
Well, you know, I think that's where you race a little bit longer. That helps us, and Bobby was a little faster than us at the beginning, and then he got boxed in a little bit, and we had trouble with lap traffic too, and I kept seeing somebody stick their nose under me, and Bobby, he passed me back once, and that's what the people came to see, wheel-to-wheel racing, and like I said, we started up front, but we were still wheel-to-wheel. Well, it's a nice racetrack, you know, and I keep saying at Fremont they've got the best and everything, Ohio or back in there, but when you got an inch of snow on the ground, it's colder than heck out, and you can look up there and see the fans that you got in Pennsylvania. They don't come any die harder than that.
Easter Sunday is the annual opener at the ultra-modern Penn National Speedway for the dirt track Modifieds. Modified racing has been called a small step to the sane side of sprint car racing. However, when you consider the extra strong handicapping, the double file restarts, and the way these guys race wheel-to-wheel in large packs, the shoe may just be on the other foot. An opening night heads-up start finds the yellow car of Tom Mayberry taking the lead at the green. A caution flag for a pair of mating modifieds puts the number 9 of Doug Hoffman and the number 100 of Ronnie Tobias right on Tom's rear bumper. We have a stuck throttle in turn 1. Dale Hammaker is okay. Ronnie Tobias moves his odd-nosed racer into second. The 25th of the 30 laps finds Tobias taking the lead for the win. Mayberry and Hoffman followed respectively. April 6th, the oldest and scariest track on the circuit is the Port Royal Speedway at the Juniata County Fairgrounds. The big half mile usually has the deepest cushion and the highest racing groove, which makes for some spectacular action. The openers here are famous for producing some of the season's fastest racing. The opening night heads-up start finds the number 1 of Kenny Jacobs on the pole after a record-setting heat race performance. However, it was the white number 29 of Jeff Swindell grabbing the lead on the first lap after starting 6th. Jeff would lead the whole way. Doug Zucco is the Port's first flip victim of the year. The restart stars Craig Eschenauer, who becomes the Port's first home run of the year. Craig's okay. Much happier is ex-outlaw Jeff Swindell and his popular car owner Bob Weichert in Victory Lane.
Well, I don't know if you knew at the beginning of the race you had Kenny Jacobs all over the back of you, but the last few restarts you pretty much just left him set behind. And I noticed a few times your car jumped up over here in turn 2.
but you sort of gathered it back up and just pulled away some more.
Yeah, when you're running up there through the cornfield, you don't know which way it's going to go. All you can do is just kind of close one eye and hope it goes in the right direction, you know. When we knew that we were going to end up having to start 6 and Kenny was on the pole, that's what I told the guys. We got to get this thing to where to work up over the top of the cushion because that's the only way we're going to be able to deal with him. I didn't think we could get that close to him that quick, and the guy on the outside held him down on the pole on the start, and it just everything fell to our favor tonight. You know, I knew Kenny was there. I heard him a couple times. Just about every one of the restarts, I seen him underneath me there, and you know, it was a tough race. I tell you, I was kind of nervous. I mean, I was happy with the way the car was working, but you never know. All it takes is that one rut to knock you out of the way. And I think we've had 3 races won out of the 7 that we've run this year, and lost all of them in the last 5 laps, you know, due to malfunction or screw up on my part. So, you know, I'm just tickled to death for Bob and the whole crew.
I love this racetrack, and tonight is the first I've been able to really, what you say, let it all hang out. And I'll tell you one thing, I got a good crew. This is the best crew I've had since 1985. And before the year's out, people's going to realize how tough we're going to be.
April 7th, Hagerstown Speedway. Though located just over the border in Maryland, this big half mile is very much a part of the central Pennsylvania racing scene, hosting several sprint shows every season. Today's show is conducted in temperatures nearing 90 degrees. A drawing for starting positions finds the 17 of Dave Kelly leading the entire race from the pole position. Phil Walters takes a spin. Steve Smith is putting on the show on the hard-to-pass surface, coming from 10th spot to challenge Kelly strongly the last 3 laps. But it's Dave Kelly meeting Miss Hagerstown in Victory Lane. April 12th, Williams Grove. Scott Geschford was one of last year's National Rookie of the Year nominees. Grove talk so far this year has centered on the new track surface. Track conditions have never been a strong point here, but that could change if these smooth and dustless surfaces continue. Steve Rose is the night's only tip-over. Popular hard charger Randy Wolf has found a well-deserved ride in the Gano number 57. The point system puts the hard luck racer on the front row, and Wolf tries to make the most of it, leading 19 laps. However, Kenny Jacobs, number 1, has come from several rows back into 2nd position. When Wolf slides a little wide after crossing a lapped car, Jacobs is ready.
Well, Kenny, you got 3 in Florida, but I do believe this is your first victory in the East this season.
I'll tell you, we've been running good. We just haven't been able to win, and everybody here is running real good. I don't know what to say. I mean, Randy Wolf is running real strong tonight, and tomorrow night it'll be somebody else, and next night it'll be somebody else. It's just going to be real hard to win races here, and we're just trying to do the best we can do.
The rest of the weekend is a washout, which finds us along with 39 sprinters right back at the Grove on April 19th.
Also, Stevie Smith t-shirts as well.
Bob Bennett needs a push truck in turn 1. Cancel that push truck thanks to Butch Beard, but now Butch is in a real fix. The first turn of the feature is pure chaos as pole sitter Doug Zuko gets crossed up. Glenn Fitzcharles gets the worst of the deal, but everyone is all right. Paul Latier has had his problems so far this year at the Grove. The restart and Paul's low point average find the number 7 on the pole and on the way to a wire-to-wire win. The 99 of Freddie Raymer barely held off a very fast Joey Kuhn in a torrid duel for 2nd. Once again, the rains moved in, canceling the rest of the racing for the week, which brings us back to the Grove on April 26th. The Super Sportsmen will join the sprinters here tonight. The Sportsmen are Central PA's other first-rate division. 38 cars are on hand. The number 47 of Dwight Live came from 10th to take the lead and the win from the number 22 of Steve McNair on the 11th lap.
Quite a show, Dwight. You used the bottom, you used the top, wherever you needed to go to get this car to the front.
When the cars work, that's the only way you're going to win. You got to drive them. Take what's there and do the best you can.
It must have been working tonight because you sure were driving it.
It's been a long time here. I'm not going to give up without a fight.
The sprinters take the green before a large crowd on a track surface that would slick over in the feature. 16-year-old Jamie Steffi learns a lesson in turn 3. The Ford-powered 25 of Dan Dietrich moves by the leading 88 of Scott Geschford early in the feature. Daring Dan held tough for the win.
Well, it feels good. As you probably maybe noticed, we've been really struggling this year, and at times we look like rookies out here, and I feel bad for all my fans when I show up and don't put on a good performance, and I hope this makes up for it. It sure makes us feel a lot better.
Well, Dan, certainly nobody could fault your performance tonight. You were up there against the guardrail, and when you started your career, we know that's where you like to run. Sort of looked like the Dan Dietrich of old tonight.
Well, I felt like the Dan Dietrich of old, and I start to feel pretty old here lately.
April 27th. New Jersey's most famous dirt track is now New Jersey's most famous paved track, the Flemington Fairgrounds. It was in the mid-70s when Flemington seemed to take over from the Reading Fairgrounds as the East's most popular modified operation. Also in the 70s, the square presented what had to be the wildest weekly show in stock car racing. The high speeds, 150-car fields, and wooden fence combined to produce many spectacular flips. In the 80s, the wood was replaced by steel, but Flemington remained unchallenged as modified country USA. However, the big change comes in 1991, as dust and chemical track treatment problems finds Flemington rolling out the black carpet for the first time in front of an all-time largest crowd. Here, the first race on the smooth pavement gets the green. Speeds are up, and yes, the famous broad sliding is gone, but so are fears of tire problems and a one-grooved racetrack. The 60 of Doug Hoffman came from the 7th starting spot to take the lead from the number 96 of Chip Slocum early in the 25-lap feature. The 13th lap finds the white number 2 of Jimmy Horton taking the lead from a surprised Hoffman. The 17th lap finds Hoffman back on top. Despite apparent fuel flow problems, Horton managed to hold on for second. The International Super Modified Association was impressive in its debut at Flemington. Running a pattern and a speed similar to Indianapolis, the asphalt sprinters were very competitive. The 05 of Patabog leads until lap 32, when the 27 of Russ Wood took control of the 50-lapper. Veteran superstar Bentley Warren in the 29 came from the 11th position to finish a strong second, but Wood prevails. Kevin Fry and Steve Rose are among a 40-car field as Susquehanna finally gets its rain-delayed season started on April 28th. Tonight's show is sanctioned by the All-Stars. Unfortunately, the club brought time-consuming time trials to the Sunday night operation. To their credit, the All-Stars brought Rick Hood, whose smoking racer started on the pole and led for 24 of the 30 laps. Just as the deuce of Joey Kuhn appeared to overtake Hood, the number 14 expired to the pits. It's Joey Kuhn talking it over with Ted Reitz in victory lane.
Well, your car must have been hooked up better as the race went on, Joey. We know you had a cat and mouse game going with Freddie Raymer for a while. You guys kind of swapped positions there once or twice. And you were really setting your sights on Ricky Hood, and when you did blow by him, he dropped off the pace and was blowing a lot of smoke for about 12, 15 laps before that.
Yeah, I saw Ricky was smoking a little bit. You know, I kind of told them guys, I said, this motor's a little lazy. We're probably going to be third coming off. I said, so we're going to have to set up and try and get going towards the middle of the race. And I figured Hood and them guys would be on good years up there pounding the cushion, and I was hoping they'd get rid of it. And eventually they did work it up to where the bottom and top was even, and it couldn't have happened at a better time for me.
May 3rd finds us being firmly ignored in the pit area at Williams Grove. Scott Geschford has been fondling the fences here all year. Scott returned to qualify in this heat race, but sooner or later, Lynn Fitzcharles holds off the number 4 of Jeff Shepard for the feature lead. Jeff's challenges come to an abrupt end behind a lapped car. Number 17 of Chris Aish is more than happy to take up the chase, gaining on the past QRC standout as the race winds down. Aish makes his winning move on the 18th lap. Fitzcharles held on to second and would score his first Central Pennsylvania win the next night at Selinsgrove. The final turn of the final lap finds the guardrail collecting its due from Scott Geschford. Scott is okay.
Well, you know, I was following Glenn, you know, and he had the fast line, you know, around 3 and 4, and I was just kind of waiting for him. Hopefully, you know, maybe he'd mess up or something, and he did kind of move down a little bit, and he just left me enough room, and I shot by and wasn't looking back after that.
Well, Chris, this is your first year back home in Pennsylvania. You spent 3 or 4 years on the outlaw circuit, had some success out there. How's it feel to be racing out of your own shop once again?
Well, you know, it really feels nice, you know, because you can go home at night and, you know, I just get tired of staying in the hotels and working in the parking lots, you know, and the shop's just really nice to work out of.
John Heidenreich, number 22, takes the lead on the outside from Ron Lahr as the ARDC midgets put on their usually competitive feature in unusually smooth form. The only problem came on lap 15, when a blown engine greases the track, much to the chagrin of Bob Klein. Meanwhile, Heidenreich's sure win was erased when he fell to the pits. Liquid Lusaconi in the number 75 used the inside to slip by Lauer on his way to win the only midget race of the year here at the Grove.
I do believe this is your first time in Victory Lane, Williams Grove.
Yes, that's true. I came close a few times, but I never cut the muster.
Well, you were looking really good tonight. Do you think you could have run with Heidenreich?
If I switched the groove up high earlier, I probably could have run with him, but until then, no.
Well, certainly the ARDC has been a tradition-rich organization. We've got plenty of tradition here at Williams Grove. It's got to feel good for you to win here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Anytime you win, it feels good.
May 4th. Silver Spring may not be the most famous track nationally, but it is the most popular locally. The Spring currently is not the only well-run show on the circuit. However, the Spring is reaping the benefits of a fast-paced and early-ending show, as having been the case consistently for a couple decades. Over the course of time, this has produced a family crowd here, including lots of women and children like no other track we know. Auto racing is a very fun sport for the whole family, says the soapbox. But this means no unnecessary delays or long list of watered-down support classes. Promotionship here has long known that the most important part of the racing show is immediately following the races, when the fans still have time to meet the drivers in the pits. The giant crowds here at the Spring mean that sportsman racers will, during the course of the year, race before larger average crowds than some of the sprinters. Now, race car sponsors love large crowds, and so the sportsmen seem to have more than their share. Thus, nearly 50 of the beautiful racers can be found in the pits here. The circle of successful racing is surely complete here at the Spring. Wild Bill Heckard returned to action after a slide on his side in a third-turn pileup. John Stoner in the number 4 inherited the lead early, but the number 47 of Dwight Live came from mid-pack to put the pressure on Stoner for most of the race. Stoner held tough until the final turn of the final lap when Live found a bite on the inside. In Victory Lane, it's Lynn Richter along with Dwight there on the left somewhere. Lynn is Miss Silver Spring for the second year in a row, and we don't hear anyone complaining.
Snap on.
Hee-hee.
We'll do snap on as soon as he's done talking to him.
May 5th finds 31 sprinters taking to Susquehanna. This is the first regular show for sprinters here, and so a heads-up start was used for the feature. Steve Smith, number 19, and Kenny Jacobs started and finished 1-2 respectively. 36 sportsmen are also on hand and will more than make up for the sprinters' no passing zone, as the Sportsman Tour handicapping is already in effect. Dave Kalaman would return to action later after catching a tire in his heat race. The 29 of Scott Kleinfelter was leading the 07 of Frankie Herr and the 93 of Danny Hager until lap 12 when Herr took the lead and Hager moved into second. With 2 laps to go, Hager slipped under Herr successfully in turn 3. Having started 12th, was a well-deserved win for Danny.
If pressure was on, we did it.
You're right, the pressure was on. At times a 5-car battle in the early going there, and I'll tell you what, you hung tough and found a good low groove to take the lead.
Yeah, I really couldn't tell who was behind me until I seen Smokey there on that one restart. Oh, I was worried about what was in front of me.
That's the objective of it, and you're, of course, in front, and that's what counts. When was the last time Danny Hager picked up a win?
Probably July of last year.
Well, this ends a long dry spell then.
Yeah, it feels great.
May 10th, Williams Grove is a well-laid-out facility for racing fans. The infield allows ticket buyers access to the drivers throughout the racing program. The wildest ride of the night here as Rich Nye flips while lining up for a heat race. Extremely even competition this year finds the point system serving to rotate different drivers to the front. The faster cars would normally be handicapped mid-pack, except there are no faster cars. It's Steve Stamball's turn to start on the front row. Steve is trying to keep his number 12 in the lead, but the number 69 of Donnie Kreitz, who started 6th, is not cooperating. Kreitzy makes it stick on the 18th lap.
Donnie, you had to work for that one.
Yeah, I can't believe we finally won one this year.
It's been a struggle for you this year, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm kind of superstitious, and I told the guys this week we're repainting the car and going back to our old colors of last year, and I don't know if anything else has seemed to change our luck a little bit.
May 11th, the old-time stockers warm up the track at Lincoln, where good news prevails, such as the extra-large field of sprinters. Too many diluted classes of stock cars have been a problem on the circuit, especially at the 3 Saturday night sprint tracks. Lincoln wisely has cut back from 3 to 2. Finally, the sprinters are now using the new higher banking instead of hugging the inside rail. Dan Dietrich took the lead early before yielding to the white 41 of Dave Haight. Haight led until the 18th lap when the blue hot 69 of Donnie Kreitz, a Lincoln regular this year, works by on the inside for his second win of the weekend. Donnie's got plenty of company in victory lane. May 12th. Bobby Essex psychs up at Susquehanna as we bring down the curtain on another weekend in Central PA. Alan Ruth is often fast, but problems such as this continue to hamper the underfinanced independent racers' efforts. Bobby Weaver caught a rut and center punched an innocent Dave Kelly. Kelly was out for the night. We'll see more of Weaver later. The number 1 of Kenny Jacobs took the lead from the 41 of Dave Haight early in the feature, only to have Haight take it back a lap later. This frustrated Jacobs into a second turn miscue. Now the restart finds Bobby Weaver taking complete command of the final 10 laps for his first win of the year.
Bobby, you look like you just came out of a swimming pool.
I'll tell you, track was rough tonight, and you had to watch what you were doing. I don't believe I've seen it this rough in a long time.
Well, it didn't seem to bother you a whole heck of a lot. Everybody else was chasing you, and that's the way you like it.
Yeah, we'll take them any way we can get them.
May 17th. The best thing about California is the California Racing Association's wingless sprint cars. The CRA Midwest Tour makes a 2-night stand at Ohio's Eldora Speedway, a track that is seldom challenged as the world's fastest half-mile dirt. These guys from the West are tough. That's Rip Williams. The Tempe Tornado is Leland McSpadden. baby-faced Billy Boat. Leonard Lee talks it over with Ronnie Schumann. Brent Kading recently beat the World of Outlaws at their own game. Richard Griffin has been the talk of the tour, as the relatively unknown has several wins. We wish we knew her name. Legendary veteran Bubby Jones. They're off with nothing to lean on but talent and the cushion. Our own Frankie Kerr battles with the number 24 of Bubby Jones. The non-wingers are the real sprint cars, the hardest to drive, the most dangerous, and the best to watch. The feature lineup: Frankie Kerr, Leland McSpadden, Robbie Stanley, and Jack Hewitt bring the field down for the start. Leland McSpadden takes the early lead. Sid Blandford flips off the wall after jumping the cush. Jack Hewitt's move past Kerr into second was a thing of dirt track beauty. However, Do It Hewitt's slide job on leader McSpadden changed Jack's name from Do It to Blew It. McSpadden, after living up to his name as the Tornado, quickly gets out of his racer and appears unshaken. Hewitt eventually also emerged A-OK, no doubt wishing he could try that again, but that's racing. After about a half hour to pick up the pieces, the race resumed. The 29 of Richard McGriffin inherited the lead and held on for the win over impressive Easterner Frankie Kerr. Kerr would score 2 wins later in the tour. Saturday night's 30-lapper was considerably less dramatic. Jack is back at his favorite track in his favorite type of racer, and starting on the pole at that. It's Do It Hewitt, starring in a wire-to-wire win. Jack challenged the promoter to make the $50,000 King's Royal a non-wing event to find out who the king really is. May 19th, back home again in Pennsylvania, where the nation's easternmost sprint car organization, the United Racing Club, is mixing it up on the High Bank Grandview Speedway. Tough competition would deluge the fans with 3 separate flips. Fran Hogue would return to action with a borrowed wing. Lou Ciccone is out for the night after tearing out some fencing. Rookie Greg Coverdale gets initiated. No injuries. This traveling club always presents great events with no time trials and with real handicapping. Glenn Fitzcharles in number 26 comes from 15th starting spot on the tight 3rd mile to take second from Billy Ellis on the 18th lap, and the lead from Stu Brown on the 21st lap for a well-earned win. Glenn runs the Central PA circuit on Friday and Saturdays, but plans on returning to his home with the URC on Sundays and whenever possible. Wednesday, May 24th, Joe Gertie girds up for warm-ups as the World of Outlaws visit Williams Grove for the first of a 2-night stand. The drop of the green finds Dave Kelly dealing with a stuck throttle. Joe Gertie's evasive actions precipitated a slow roll. While Working Woody pushes Joe back for a new wing, Kelly has a demolished racer and a shoulder injury which will keep him on the sidelines for several weeks. The Outlaws are the best in sprint car racing. Unfortunately, the time trial dash system frequently groups the dominant stars right up front. This can leave 30 feature laps to do nothing. The big 3 throughout the history of the WOA are Steve Kinzer, Sammy Swindell, and Doug Wolfgang. Unfortunately, Wolfgang did not come east this time around. The black number 1 of Slamming Sammy Swindell started on the pole and led for 10 laps, before Steve the King Kinzer came from the 2nd row to take the lead for his 20th Outlaw win just here at the Grove alone. Steve talks a little about his arch rival in Victory Lane.
Well, Sammy, he runs pretty hard and pretty exciting no matter where he's at. He's a heck of a race driver.
You know, people sometimes wonder the relationship between Steve Kinzer and Sammy Swindell, and anybody that was down here close by the situation could see you two guys joking and laughing and discussing your strategy a little bit after. I think, if anything, you've really got to be considered friendly rivals.
Well, it's not always that good.
May 24th finds us visiting the Linda Speedway. This is the quarter mile which sets just off the split of Route 81 and 78. After struggling for 15 years, Linda's is finding success on Friday nights as the mecca of micro-midget madness. The full-size ARDC midgets are making a historic first-ever appearance here tonight. Favorite Lou Ciccone gets dumped out of competition on the first lap of the feature. This is what short track racing is all about. Doug Craig, number 56, surges into the lead past the 60 of Billy Hughes. Craig led until temporarily losing power on the fourth turn, allowing Mike Pierzig and Randy Mosteller, both who also had started well back in the pack, to slip past. The 24th lap finds the 25 of Mosteller repassing Pierzig on his way to the 30-lap feature win. Here's Randy in victory lane. Meanwhile, over at the Woe Show, Steve Kinzer again came from the second row to win over Swindell. Tim Dietz smiles for the cameras at Port Royal on May 25th.
Set to go racing up at number 3.
When Jimmy Sheenan performed on the third turn rail, he lost some important safety equipment. A real tense moment as Bobby Strasser wins this face-to-face stare-down with the Grim Reaper. Bobby's a real tough cookie. Suffering from a broken arm, he would be back at the track the next week planning his return to competition. Doug Zucco has the lead in his number 69. However, the 57 of Randy Wolf is closing in. Randy took the lead to become the 6th different winner in as many races here at the port.
I'd like to say that the track was in great shape tonight. The track crew did a real good job, and we could race almost anywhere, and it was a lot of fun.
Tony Greener is ready for Susky action on May the 26th. The feature belongs to fast Freddie Raymer, slipping under cars and taking the lead from an impressive Todd Gracie in the number 3 on the 9th lap.
You know, since I got Davey, I never ran the top here. It's been, what, a year or so since I won here, and the last time I won, I was hitting the inside fence. He got me where I can race on the top, you know, and now, you know, it's pretty much fun running up there.
Well, I believe you. We were watching you in the early going there. You tried all parts of the speedway, and boy, you were going right up against the cushion near the rail, and you had no fear of it at all.
Well, you know, when I start 12th, like, you know, all us guys, Crazy and Mr. Smith and all them, if you're not going when they drop the green, you're done. And we decide we want to win. We don't want to just follow, so we figured we better be on the top.
The Super Sportsmen are also pitside tonight for a Memorial Day weekend doubleheader. Jim Shuttlesworth gets booted into an endo. Jim in his backup car would return to finish 4th in the feature. Bobby Weaver, doing double duty as usual, came from 12th to score the win in the Super Sportsman feature tonight. May 29th, the midweek Woe Show at Susky turned sour for fans with jobs or families. After a 4-hour rain delay, and despite pleas for mercy from hostages, Woe officials insisted on time trial torture. Several teams hid in the pits, each trying to be last out on the improving surface. The time trial nonsense soaked up another hour. When the feature finally lined up at 1 a.m., fans were rewarded for their patience with a time trial classic as Steve Kinzer starts on the first row and leads all 30 laps. May 31st, Williams Grove. A real strength of the Outlaws is its second wave. About a dozen of the country's very best, such as Dave Blaney and Johnny Herrera, follow the big purses consistently. However, always racing in the shadows of the big three, Kinzer, Swindell, and Wolfgang, wins for the second wave are rare. This has never sat well with these guys, and premature gray hairs and ride swapping are common. This spin led to an unhappy Steve Stamball. Steve was leading the B main. 15 years ago, the PA Posse, as it's known, would race with and even beat the Outlaws. Those days are pretty much gone. However, tonight the 19 of Steve Smith starts on the pole and leads 8 laps. What a race! The number 1 of Sammy Swindell takes the lead, but Smith is staying close. And here comes Steve Kinzer. Without a doubt, a little bit of serious handicapping and the Woe would be the best show racing ever knew. Kinzer moved into second on the 14th lap. Time trial handicapping is pretty much tokenism, but tonight it did max out with Kinzer starting in the third row. Kinzer appeared to pass Swindell easily in the low groove, but a yellow flag restarted Kinzer in second again behind his faithful foe. After the yellow, for some reason, Kinzer switched to an extremely high groove in his efforts to retake the lead. As the number 11 bounced off the guardrail, it's Sammy Swindell ending Kinzer's 7-race outlaw win streak here at the Grove.
You're turning this Williams Grove crowd around. There are an awful lot of cheers for you tonight.
Well, we've just been working real hard and trying to put on a good race. I think the guys, the fans all like that. The first part, me and Steve Smith, that was pretty close there for a lot of times. We just had fun racing like that.
June 1st finds us enjoying some of the Port Royal scenery. Next, we have to promise Bobby Strausser a copy of last week's spill. The number 90 of Alan Ruth beats out Darrell Steimling and Billy Crawford in a heat race thriller. The feature finds the 77 of John Matrafilio leading for 11 laps before the 57 of Randy Wolf took over in lap traffic. However, attrition found both Wolf and Matrafilio in the pits. Up from the tough super sportsman ranks, rookie Billy Crawford scores his second Port Royal win of the year already.
I'm sure this second win here pretty much makes it a little bit easier for Billy Crawford.
Yeah, the first one seemed like I thought would be the hardest, and I mean it was hard, but Camp dropped out and we got it then, but then I thought maybe the second one would be the hardest, but here we are, I guess.
Always fast on wet tracks, Alan Ruth leads the first sprint heat at Susky on May the 2nd. This nasty incident cost Ruth his racer and put Freddie Raymer in the doghouse for the evening with some of the fans. Everybody is okay. Feature time. Randy Wolf has taken the lead from Mike Lehman. Bob Bennett, a top-notch rookie, experiences his first wing drop. The world is topsy-turvy for Bobby Essex after an unplanned meeting with Billy Crawford. Randy Wolf continues to lead the 25 of Dan Dietrich, but the 99 of point leader Freddie Raymer, who started 12th, is closing in.
Well, I think these people are waiting for me to ask you a question, and I guess I'll ask it to you. Do you know what number car was coming up underneath you the last 2 laps?
I did not know, but after the checker, I think it was Fred, and we had a heck of a race, And Fred gave me all the room in the world. He's a real hard charger. And he's a kind of guy I enjoy racing with because that's what it's about, running hard.
55 minutes gone already as we pick up the pace at Lincoln on June the 8th. The drought is on, and Steve Smith has some dust clouds along with plenty of traffic to pass through on his way to his 134th Lincoln win. June 9th, the sprinters cut loose at Susquehanna. Mike Lehman does a donut. The 71 of Bert Shoup mixes it up a little with the number 2 of Glenn Worley, who is making his annual mid-season debut. The feature finds the 57 of Randy Wolf working hard to take the lead from Dave Haight. With 2 laps to go, the number 69 of Donnie Kreitz, who had started 11th, used the growing advantage of the low groove to take the win. Susky is the perfect stage for the carbureted super sportsman. The self-starting racers pre-stage pitside and often start the next race within 2 minutes. Years of training at their home Silver Spring Speedway find the drivers with problems usually making that extra effort to get their racers into the pits without delaying the show. These drivers can't race for a living, but they often exercise the most professional racing conduct on the circuit. The 40-car field makes just qualifying tough, but what a show for the fans. The sportsman heat events here on the still tacky track are the most competitive open cockpit races we've seen all year. For the second time in a row here, Jim Shuttlesworth summons a backup racer for one of the 2 sportsman consies. The final turn finds Jim's number 41 taking the final transfer spot from a sliding Harold Weick. The highlight of the night had to be Bobby Weaver's last turn of the last lap winning pass of Scott Auscherman. Weaver had started 17th. Auscherman bounces off the fence in frustration on the cool-down circuit.
This is our second great feature here tonight. The sprints were outstanding, and now you top it off with that last lap move. Were you holding your breath on that pass?
I wasn't sure I could make it. I got real close down in one. I thought, well, I got to try, you don't ever give up. And he went in high, and I thought, well, this is it. If I'm going to do it, it's it.
Buzz Wilson prepares to take to Williams Grove on June 14th. Steve Rucker has been getting faster in his number 6. Tonight, Steve cuts it a little low in the first turn. This could have been worse. Mike Lehman wants past the number 12 of Steve Stamball. The feature gets off to a bad start as Paul Latier tangles wheels with Lenny Krautheim in front of the pack. Latier flips into the pits in this spectacular footage, which you may have seen on national television, thanks to our friends of Sprint Car Racing at Carlisle's Channel 40. Donnie Kreitz also flips in the 11-car crash, but everyone is okay, including pitside. After the crash, Joey Kuhn took the lead from the number 3 of Lenny Krautheim. However, Kuhn burned a piston on the 11th lap, allowing the 99 of Freddie Raymer, who started 12th, to pick up the winning paycheck.
Let me ask you, are you the point leader at Selinsgrove right now?
I don't think so. I think, we dropped out of a couple races in Super Todd's right there now.
Super Todd? And how about Susquehanna?
I'm leading at Susquehanna, but I'll get Selinsgrove back as long as they keep racing.
And racing they are. Despite threatening weather, a large crowd is on hand at Selinsgrove on June 15th for action on the circuit's fastest racetrack. Recent attempts to sink more moisture into the track surface here produced a couple of weeks of rough conditions. However, tonight the track appears as smooth as a trophy girl's legs, and the boys are on the hammer. The track may be smooth, but that doesn't mean you can drive on the guardrail. Kramer Williamson is all right. Mike Krotzer shed some parts without injury. Craig Fry in his brown number 88 led for several laps over Glenn Fitzcharles before the 11 of Todd Schaeffer, who in the story of the year defeated Kinzer and Swindell in an outlaw show here a couple of weeks ago, cruised by everyone for his 5th Selinsgrove win of the year.
What does this intense heat do to a sprint car driver? Looks like you just took a shower.
Yeah, you really don't notice it till you stop. Tell you, it's worse just sitting in the car than actually running. You don't notice it running. All right, hey, I want to thank this little group up here that's booing, because that gives these two guys that work on the car more incentive. They just want to hear you guys holler.
Oh, this is wild. I like excitement like this. This is great, man. This is great. Well, Todd, congratulations on a good run here, and I know you're going to get many more this year.
Thank you.
All right, fans, Todd Schaeffer, Mr. Excitement.
Gary Heber, who runs a variety of open-wheel racers, is among the 32 URC sprinters on hand tonight, as it's a sprint car doubleheader at Selinsgrove. The smaller engines and wings on the giant track finds the beautiful racers really winding out. The number 3 of Mare Stelfox is leading the heat race, and she weighs less than 100 pounds, but it's pure spunk. If you don't believe us, just ask John Jenkins, who is out for the night. John Holmquist stuffs the rail, while Glenn Fitzcharles gets upside down. Fitzcharles returned to action immediately. Holmquist the next week. URC competition on the big half mile tonight is excellent and rail to rail. Bob Swavely rebuilt his front end in time to qualify in the Consi. He will wish he hadn't. The feature finds the 26 of Glenn Fitzcharles making one of his URC charges from his 10th place starting spot. Fitzy would be assisted in this task by several gap-closing caution flags. Now Fitzcharles is trailing Ronnie Dunstan, who is leading in his number 5. Bob Swavely brings out the night's final red flag. Fitzcharles, who now only runs the club circuit part-time, took the lead on a restart for his 4th United Racing Club feature win of the year and the 70th of his career. June 16th, the legendary Kenny Brightbill is on hand at Penn National, where the dirt track modifieds are top billing every Sunday night. And don't you sprint car types turn your noses up too high. They may be a little sluggish off the turns, but the heavies are a bear to drive and the most competitive open wheel racing of all. The mods don't need a 4-abreast parade lap. They race that way. Scott Albert spills for the typically enthusiastic modified fans. Despite getting rammed topside, Scott is unhurt. The number 9 of Jimmy Hauer leads the number 4 of Randy Fortner early in feature action as the number 1 of Craig Van Doren, who had started 15th, moves into 3rd. Here, Fortner takes the lead, and also Van Doren moves his red racer into 2nd. The 16th lap finds Van Doren taking the lead and the win from Fortner. Here's Mrs. and Mr. Van Doren in the Penn National Winner's Circle, along with car owner Michelle Faust. While Alan Kreitzer is running the sprints at Susky, he also has his Super Sportsman 30 miles to the north helping fill the stands here at Penn National. Sounds like Promoter of the Year material to us. Penn National is the most modern dirt track facility we've seen yet, but our Greens ice cream is just 50 cents. It's 93 degrees as Jim Shuttlesworth continues his Sunday night problems. The feature goes to Rich Eichelberger in his number 8 as he takes the lead from a much improved Jake Rodabaugh in the nonstop 20-lapper. It's Big Rich's first win of the year and his 16th career in the Super Sportsman. The hot, sticky weather continues to be a problem at Williams Grove on June 21st. Young rookie Jamie Steffi is a victim of a spun racer in this flip. Jamie was really getting up to speed before the expensive incident on the start of the feature. The 12 of Steve Stanball made several powerful lunges at pole sitter leader Paul Latier, but Latier prevails.
What a comeback.
Yeah, I knew Stanball was there, and boy, he's always fast on the bottom, and I knew he probably had something different on the right rear than me, so I figured I better get out on the outside and just stand on it and hope for the best, and I knew he'd be there the whole time, but I could get real good into the 3rd turn. 1st and 2nd was, you had to work a little.
Looking at what happened last week, that was pretty scary, and I'm sure it's a good thing you didn't go over one more time in the pit area.
Well, there's always somebody up there. It seems like they're looking out for me a little bit. Sometimes they get me in a little trouble, but they usually pull me through.
June 22nd, we pick up the pace as the 36 of Johnny Murphy takes the lead from Phil Long on the 8th lap of the feature at Silver Spring. Ron Walburn is very much out of shape in the 4th turn. The last lap, Murphy has plenty of company in the form of Rich Eichelberger's number 8 and the fast-closing Dave Kalaman. Here's Johnny.
It was a real hard race, I'll tell you. Ike, you know, we ran together in the heat race, and now we did it again in the feature. But, you know, there's not a nicer guy in the racetrack or somebody I'd rather run beside, you know, running wide open like that than Ike. He's, you know, I knew exactly where he was going to be, and I'm sure he knew the same for me. And you can't ask much more from two guys out there.
June 25th, Williams Grove is the heart of sprint car country. But once a year, the track is rented out and the big block New York DIRT style modifieds come and squat on the chimney here. The show is gaining popularity, and tonight almost 60 of the big sleds pack the pits in front of a solid crowd. At 91 laps, the feature is a little long, but the mods pull it off in competitive style. Richie Tobias and Billy Pouch led early until the number 28 of Danny Johnson took over. Johnson had to hold off many outside pass attempts by the number 6 of Brett Hearn during the second half of the grind. But it's Daddy Danny in victory lane. June 26th, midweek racing abounds as the Super Sportsmen take to Port Royal. After leader Rod Albright pitted on the 17th lap, the number 07 of Frankie Hurd took the lead and held off a determined Bob Fantasy for the win.
That's a new winner each time you guys come here, and of course you're number 9.
Yeah, I like this. It's wide open track's nice. This is the first time I ever raced here. I I want to thank Bill and Kay for giving me the opportunity to pilot this 07 beautiful car.
Here come the sprinters, Port Royal style. After Ralph Henselman ran over his own front end, John Matrafalio had nowhere to go. John was shaken up, but okay. Tim Hershey is another flip victim on the 4th turn. Look inside as super-fast Randy Wolf takes the win by sweeping past Todd Schaeffer and leader Tony Greener midway through the feature event. Randy is one very happy fellow with his low-pressure ride that goes so fast. June 28th finds the super sportsman joining the card at Williams Grove. A fan's favorite maneuver here is performed by Mike Donor. A disgusted Mark Zimmerman gets the worst of this 4th turn merry mixer. Bobby Weaver loves running the sportsman on the large, dry sprint tracks, dominating tonight's feature from his 10th starting spot like seldom seen in this class. The sprinters get the let out. A bad one as Mike Kratzer finds the gate, and Zeal Hinkleman finds Kratzer. Kratzer did suffer an ankle injury. For the 2nd time this month, the number 33 has many bent and missing parts. Joey Kuhn took the lead on the 8th lap, and this time he stuck around till the end to score the win over the 19 of Steve Smith.
It seems like you should have had one of these a long time ago. I think you've had the best working car in Pennsylvania. You've had some motor problems. Otherwise, I think you might have been here 3 or 4 times already.
Well, you're probably right. Couldn't have happened on a better night than GE night. I mean, this is a perfect opportunity for you people to tell them how much they ought to sponsor me.
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? He wants GE as a sponsor.
Tim Hershey leads the 14 of Barry Camp in the Port Royal feature on June 29th. Billy Crawford rides the rim. Perhaps it's the tires cooling down, but as so often happens here, a restart finds Bobby Landis driving straight into the 3rd turn rail. Bobby is A-OK and classically just wants to know who stuffed me. Meanwhile, down on the track, Barry Camp takes the lead from Hershey for his 2nd win of the year here at the Port.
You didn't see all the trouble happening behind you, but everywhere you looked, it was there tonight.
I know. I was saying, hey, it was a tough racetrack. It's rough up top. There's a ledge on the curb, and it's dry hard inside. And, you know, I'm saying I have to tell some of these younger guys the reason they're having problems is you can only drive your car where it feels good. If it don't feel good, don't go there because you're going to get into trouble. I'm saying, believe me, the way I know is I've done it for about 10 years before I learned to slow down and get it right. And the next thing I'm going to tell you is we can't run without a racetrack. So if you people won't take the time to write DER and tell them exactly where this thing sits, okay, then we're all going to be losers, okay? I promise you I will write a letter if all of you will. Thank you. That's all I'm going to say besides thanks to Cuffy and the whole crew.
The green is out at Susquehanna on June 30th. Wild Glenn Worley is a victim of a 2nd turn shunt. After riding his car, Glenn got back in the race. The 114 of Mimi DeSantis holds off the 17 of Chris Aish and Steve Smith for the win.
Well, I'll tell you, Mimi, you must be in great shape. Last night when I talked to Fred Raymer at Selinsgrove, we had to put a bucket under him to catch all the perspiration. How do you stay so cool after the pressure out there?
I live right.
You had a couple boys right behind you who were knocking on the door, and those restarts probably made you a little bit uneasy.
Well, I tried not to think about it. I just looked out front, didn't worry what was behind me.
The Super Sportsmen also produce another new winner, as the number 3 of Dave Kalaman comes from 13th to take 2nd from Rod Albright. and then the lead from the 29 of Scott Kleinfelder with 2 laps to go for the win.
Well, Dave Kalaman, we kind of buried you in the middle of the pack and made you work for this one, and by golly, you did have to work.
Yeah, we've been working real hard since the beginning of the year. We run into some problems with the cars, and we just got it figured out here. Got the old car back out and was working with it, and it seems to go pretty good.
July 4th, the sprinters take to a smooth, fast Lincoln Speedway during a light drizzle. This show is part of a 5-night series known as Pennsylvania Speed Week. The series did keep the locals from traveling to a similar and more original Speed Week in Ohio. However, it attracted not one invader. Also, it confronted the fans with 5 straight nights of time trials. Smith dominated, taking the lead from Steve Stamball, number 12, on the 7th lap. Glenn Worley prepares for Speed Week competition at Williams Grove on July 5th. Bob Bennett woke the fans up during time trials when he lost his steering in turn 3. Bobby Fletcher in the 66, who just scored his first feature win 2 weeks ago, battles for the lead with the 17 of Chris Aish. Greg Plank hits the rail a glancing blow and hangs on tight. Greg returned to action the next night. The 9th lap finds the 69 of Donnie Kreitz, who only had to come from 3rd tonight, passing the dueling leaders and opening a giant lead in the Darrell Gone Memorial Feature event.
Well, Donnie, what did you do to get this car ahead of the rest of the pack tonight?
Well, I don't know. I don't think I better tell anyone.
July 6th is a perfect time to make our annual visit to the Clyde Martin Speedway, where a time trial electric eye won't be given a chance to fail to register all year. There's 113 cars in the pits for this challenge event in cooperation with Delaware's similar airport speedway. Fortunately, micro flips here are as relatively harmless as they are frequent. Most racers return to action with bent wings only. Delaware's Doug Labonte, who had led a major event here before, prior to dropping out on the final lap, scores his first Clyde win.
You know, Walt Chernigal keeps pretty close tabs on things, and his article in the Area Auto Racing newspaper last year said that how could Doug Labonte lead 89 laps and still lose that feature? And then we totaled up the amount of laps here. Would you believe it took you 152 laps to win a feature? Fans, let's hear it for Doug Labonte.
Do I get paid extra money for leading that match?
July 7th finds Speed Week wrapping up at Susquehanna. The first lap of the first heat found Donnie Kreitz flipping onto the rail in a cloud of dust, but Donnie would get his car ready for the feature. A late race red helped Steve Smith take the lead from the 25 of Dan Dietrich on his way to the win. Smith and Kreitz were the only 2 winners in the 5-night series, all from the first 3 rows due to time trials, with Smith scoring 3 wins on his way to the Speed Week Championship. July 12th, Williams Grove. Fred Raymer is doing it right as he charges into the lead by passing Mimi DeSantis's number 114 on the 13th lap. Dan Dietrich is doing it wrong as he catches the first turn rail. Steve Smith puts the make on Fast Freddy here on the 21st lap, but the number 99 of Raymer prevails for his second Grove win of the year.
Yeah, the lap cars were really starting to screw me up, and you know, Big Stevie was on the bottom, and I knew before we ever pushed out he was going to be down there, but the top was too good tonight for him to run the bottom. But the lap cars were up top in my way a little bit, and you know, it almost cost me the race.
July 14th finds the super sportsman taking to an arid Susquehanna. The 66 of Leroy Martin opens a large lead on his way to apparent victory. The 71 of favorite Bobby Weaver is stuck behind a 3-car battle for second. With 5 laps to go, the jam for second becomes marmalade as Scott Auscherman gets into the number 3 of Dave Kalaman. As Kalaman and Auscherman discuss the situation, Weaver has slipped past safely and goes on to take the lead from Martin on the restart. Here's Bobby with a trophy he can really use in Victory Lane. Despite the slick track, Donnie Kreitz came from 10th to take the lead from the 2 of Dave Haight for the sprint win tonight at Susky. July 19th finds impressive rookie 16-year-old Jamie Steffi pitside at Williams Grove. Jeff Shepard, often fast but never a winner here at the Grove, blasts off the outside first row and opens a lead in the feature. Glenn Fitzcharles takes the high groove a little too far. Glenn was on quite a roll this weekend, as Sunday night URC heat action at Grandview would find Glenn in trouble again, just as the storm was hitting the track. The show was then canceled. Back at the Grove, the restart finds Steve Smith right on Shepard's rear bumper, but Jeff pulls away for a convincing win.
Jeff, for the last lap, this entire grandstand was standing and just cheering you on. Such a popular victory, and with good reason. You've been trying for, I guess, 4 years to win a feature here. You've been fast. You've led races only to drop out in the closing stages. Can you put it into words, your feelings right now?
I don't know, but all I know is we were trying so hard, and it's about time. That's all I can say. I was standing up in the car, too. I was waiting. I thought when he gave the halfway sign, I was ready for the checkered. I mean, this was the longest race I think I've ever raced.
The Super Sportsman would be a wild addition to tonight's program at the Grove. That's Bob Fantasy tangling with Scott Kleinfelter and taking a roll down the front stretch as filmed by the racing station Channel 40 of Carlisle. Channel 40 also was on the spot for this pileup, which occurred on the start of the feature. Rod Albright caught the outside rail, and the resulting melee found both Jim Shuttlesworth and Bobby Howard tipping over. Nobody hurt. Once the sportsman made it down the front chute, Phil Long, number 12, took the lead on the second lap. Smokey Snellbaker, number 11, came from 11th to put the pressure on Long for many laps. Then point leader Howie Locke, number 77, came from 18th starting spot to take the lead from Long for the win. Now that's a show for the fans.
Howie, I think there's no question about what you just said. The competition in the sportsman class, when a driver such as yourself can go until nearly the end of July without a feature win, that's just unbelievable. Of course, your point average is good. I'm sure you start in the rear, and it's just tough to come through with all these good race cars.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it creates really good racing for the fans when the fastest guys start in the rear. There's no doubt about that. But it is definitely tough on us. There's no doubt about that either.
July 20th, Selinsgrove Speedway. The sprinters take to the wide-open first turn, where tonight's dirt track overdose includes sprints, late models, limited lates, street stocks, dune buggies, 6-cylinders, thunder cars, and big wheels. Fred Raymer in the 99 came from 12th to take the lead from Ed Schaeffer on the 15th lap for his 5th straight win here at Selinsgrove. A giant crowd bubbles at the 50,000 to win unsanctioned sprint car orgy at Eldora, known as the King's Royal. Jack Hewitt flips in turn 1. Danny Lasowski flips in turn 1. Several PA stars did their share to entertain in the Royal, which was appropriately won by King Kinzer. Lenny Krautheim looked good qualifying before finding the cement on lap 4 of the feature. Todd Schaeffer was running third when he suffered a similar fate. Stevie Smith won Friday night's feature and led the Royal before this happened. July 26th. Outlaw Tune-Up Night includes time trials, and Kenny Jacobs has the pole at Williams Grove. And after 3 years, Jimmy Sills is back in the Weikert number 29. Welcome back ceremonies were conducted on the 4th turn. The fastest car in the feature was the Deuce of Joey Kuhn, before dropping out with motor problems, allowing Jacobs an easy win. July 27th, that's Richard Lupo as we return to Lincoln for some action on the competitive short half mile. Jesse Wentz breaks in his brand new black number 2. Also much involved is Mimi DeSantis, who returned to action later in the show, ignoring the pain in his leg. This later turned up to be a broken kneecap. Jeff Shepard takes the lead from a fast improving Alan Hewitt. Hewitt faded, and now we have the number 3 of Todd Gracie holding off most the Hanover gang, plus Donnie Kreitz in a mass duel for second. With Shepard still leading, the war for second waged until 4 laps to go, when Gracie bumped the wall. Steve Smith escapes after considerable contact. After the red, Shepard is struggling with a broken torsion bar, but only Donnie Kreitz gets by, taking the win on the very last lap. What a show. We bring down the curtain on the racing weekend, enjoying 15-car modified heats at Penn National on July the 28th. Randy Fortna scores the win for his second feature win of the year here at the sweeping, flat, and fast Penn National. When the super sportsmen team up with the modifieds for a doubleheader, you won't find more full-size wheel-to-wheel racing anywhere. Veteran Howard White crashes hard against the cement without injury. Rich Eichelberger came from 12th to take the lead midway through the 25-lapper in his number 8. Big Rich likes PN as he has scored wins in both the races conducted here this year for the Sportsman. July 30th, Alan Cole prepares for Tuesday night open competition sprint cars at Grandview. An outlaw-sized crowd packs the High Bank 3rd mile for an appreciated single-class show. Instead of running extra classes of bumper stocks and wonder cars, management here takes time to effectively rework the track surface, keeping the zip in the sprinters all night. Although still stiff from a modified crash, Billy Pouch rode out this flyer and then returned to competition in the same car later in the evening. Alan Hewitt digs in. 30 laps here doesn't take long, and that's good because the fans were holding their breath. Dave Kelly's back in the number 126 and takes the lead here from the 3 of Todd Gracie as the number 1 of Kenny Jacobs follows suit. Jacobs appeared quicker, but Kelly has many URC wins here and continued to outdrive Jacobs through lap traffic. At least until lap 27. With $5 at stake, that's old Grandview favorite Fast Freddie Raymer laughing all the last 3 laps to the bank. The biggest crowds continue for single-class shows, as it's Outlaw Mania at Williams Grove on August 1st and 2nd. A couple grandstanders went home with free souvenirs of Alan Ruth's tire explosion during time trials. The feature finds Kinzer starting on the pole and leading every lap. But it's the number 5 of Mark Kinzer, and Cousin Steve finishes a very close but no slide job second. A real good show on a real dry, slick track.
I've said this before, but a couple years ago I broke my shoulder, and I must have had 1,000 letters all from Pennsylvania, and I'd like to thank you again for all your support.
The top 4 finishers from Thursday night will automatically start in front of Friday night's feature. Yuck. Jim Miller's little spill was the only incident either night and didn't draw a red flag. With the big money on the line, Steve Kinzer is on the gas, off the second row and in the lead early and gone. With no nuisance classes, both shows checkered before 10. The gates were thrown open as even the youngest grandstanders get to meet some real nice people in the pits. August 3rd, the sprinters hit turn 3 abreast at the always spectacular Port Royal. Despite famous problems with the DER, The show tonight will be haunted by 5 classes. Lots of action tonight, as Port Royal competition usually includes a duel against the midnight curfew. Kenny Smith is a feature flip victim. Kenny Adams, number 28, holds off Kevin Fry to begin a win streak here at the Port.
Me and the car owner, we decided we wanted to come here and race at Port Royal, since how this is the best track in central Pennsylvania.
Well, Kenny, they're the last 2 laps to go there. Looked like when you were coming off of turn 2, you were jumping over the cushion a little bit, but it also looked like you had the brakes in this car red hot.
Yeah, we've been having little problems, with a lot of different things. It overheated on us a little bit, and I was very concerned about that. And I know the brakes were fading on me, and we're just lucky to get it out, I think.
August 4th, the Red Clay and Ted's Cat Stories will both fly tonight at Susquehanna. Bob Bennett and John Garrett get cozy on the turn. Luckless Dave Haight is leading the feature, but he has hood problems. Gentleman Dave pulled pit side and did not stop the race. Johnny Mackison, number 65, then leads Dan Dietrich and Fred Raymer choo-choo style to the win. Here's Johnny telling Ted about it in Victory Lane.
Yeah, it sure does. We've been running pretty decent here lately and just run up front, just can't seem to get a win. But it's a shame for Dave Haight tonight. I mean, he was running good, and I don't know what might have happened if he kept running, but we'll take a win any way we can get it.
The super sportsmen get down on it. Tom Reed gets on his head. Action Larry Jackson is back in a sportsman tonight. The number 3 of Dave Kalaman moves under a very fast red racer of Bill Heckert on the 15th lap to take the lead in his 3rd sportsman win of the year. No, Virginia, it's just French Grimes buckling into his sturdiest of sprint cars August 9th at Williams Grove. A wire-to-wire by Lenny Krautheim is his first win of the year and first ever at the Grove. After the checkered, Frenchie, who is a renowned welder by trade, tests his work in turn 2.
You look like you're showing the effects of a tough race tonight. It was very humid here tonight. Had to be hot in that race car. Just looking at the perspiration pouring out of you. Were you feeling it in the last couple of laps?
No, I think my adrenaline was flowing so good. I was counting the laps, man. I was going, come on, baby, let's have it.
Can you see the scoreboard as you're coming around the racetrack?
No, man, I was just pointing straight ahead, looking for that cushion, whatever was there, buddy, and I was aiming for it.
The 19 of Ed Schaeffer again leads the feature at Selingsgrove on August 10th, but Lenny Krautheim is in pursuit. What a night for Fred Raymer. The perennial point leader restarted last after cartwheeling in this tangle, only to lose his steering on the 18th lap after having re-advanced to 3rd. Krautheim took the lead from Schaeffer for his 2nd win of the weekend. The season is certainly on the upswing for Lenny here in the Selingsgrove Victory Lane. August 16th, the boys are off to an eat-em-up start at Williams Grove. French Grimes suffered some soreness after losing his brakes in turn 3. The twin 20s tonight were lined up by time trials, and both would be won from the front row. The 19 of Steve Smith scores his 4th Williams Grove win of the year in the first feature. The story of the 2nd feature was this horrendous pileup on the start, as filmed by Channel 40. Nobody injured in the crash, which included 4 flips. Another view of the carnage farther back the track. Only 13 cars restarted the feature, and we lose one more as Jeff Shepard finds the rail. Bobby Weaver, who was involved in the initial impact of the first lap crash, escaped to lead every lap from the pole. As Mayor Stelfox watches a competitor, we check out Mayor's. The United Racing Club makes one of their popular Selingsgrove appearances on August the 17th. John Holmquist, number 12, leads the 5 of Todd Rittenhouse early in the feature. Dave McGow takes a spin on the rail. Rittenhouse took the lead on lap 10 for his first Selinsgrove win.
This is a good track to win at. I run here a few times before, and I could never get it. I got it tonight.
A broad-sliding Dave Reichert in his number 6 leads the feature for 10 laps before the 3 of Lenny Krautheim and the 99 of Fred Raymer moved by on the inside. After a lap 15 restart, Raymer worked by leader Krautheim for his 10th Selinsgrove win of the year. Raymer's dominance here has him well in contention for the overall Central PA Point Championship. August 18th. The modifieds are always a real treat at Penn National. Watch this action. Scotty Haas in his number 78 started in last position in tonight's feature. However, some good moves in early race traffic find Scotty holding off the 30 of Randy Masser for the win. Here's our Racer of the Week in the Penn National Victory Lane. August 23rd, a hard afternoon rain shower has delayed the starting time 2 hours at Williams Grove. When the green finally dropped, everybody wanted a piece of the guardrail. Donnie Kreitz, number 69, takes the lead on the 22nd lap from Randy Wolf for his 4th Grove feature win of the year. Charlie Lester is down from Connecticut for Selinsgrove competition on August the 24th, where track management has lowered the admission to just $7.50. Now that's a deal. Here, Charlie duels with the number 19 of Ed Schaeffer during a heat race before both of the hard chargers were involved in this drop of the green restart pileup. That's Tom Baer upside down. Ed Schaeffer also flopped over, but everybody is A-OK under the full moon. Lenny Krautheim in his black number 3 took the lead from Chuck Reinert, but lost the lead to Freddie Raymer on the 11th lap. The 99 of Raymer, who had to start on the rear after pitting before the green, claims his 11th Selinsgrove win of the year. August 27th. The sprinters line up for a heat race competition at Grandview as Thunder on the Hill is 50 laps tonight. Trouble on the green finds Gary Golub getting the worst of the deal. The restart finds Rod Albright catching the cushion and then the boilerplate. Bobby Weaver took the lead at the start. However, lap traffic would find Freddie Raymer closing in. Fortunately for Weaver, several incidents like Steve Stamball's flip gave him a clear track on which he pulled away from Raymer for the win. The King of the Hill collects over $7,000. It's Bobby Weaver's biggest payday ever. August 29th, Central PA offers some of the best racing in this world every Friday night with the modifieds at the Big Diamond Speedway up Route 81 near Minersville. Just watch the action during this Thursday night special event, which drew nearly 70 of the ultra-competitive modifieds. Tom Mayberry gets turned around during a heat race. Tom would recover to qualify and then some. Here, Mayberry charges from mid-pack during the Winners Classic feature. Watch Mayberry's Yellow Racer work the lead from Scott Hawes with 3 laps to go for the win tonight at the Big D. What a show. Friday, August 30th. More new territory as we visit Clinton County, located just north of the Central PA Circuit at Lock Haven. Here, a field of about 15 mostly open trailer sprinters compete weekly for $1,000 to win. This 3rd mile is faster than it is big. Just ask Alan Cole as he flips 4 times through the first turn. The number 63 of Phil Walters takes the lead on the 4th lap after starting mid-pack from the 20 of Bob Sanzo. Bobby Croup came from way back in his number 98 to take second position on the last lap, but could not catch Walters, who has been having problems just getting his racer to the track.
Of course, that money will help you keep old Blue running back and forth to the racetrack, right?
I'll tell you what, when I get here, I feel like I ran the Daytona 500, then I have to race yet.
September 1st finds the United Racing Club producing one of the year's best features at Grandview. Mare's Stelfox catches a tire as the women take over the Grandview altitude record. Mares is a racer, and she's just worried about the car. Mike Hagenbottom in the number 24 works the lead from the number 84 of Gary Gullub on the 20th of the 30 laps. But here comes the number 17 of rookie Greg Coverdale. The three leaders put on an outstanding show through lap traffic for the final 10 laps. It was under the white flag that Coverdale made his strong move to take the lead and win from a disappointed Hagenbottom. Some tears of joy for Greg in Victory Lane after his second URC win of the year. Life is great if you're a racing fan in central Pennsylvania. Jakey knows what to expect at the fair race. September 2nd is the classic Labor Day show at the Juniata County Fair. It's Port Royal's only event under Mother Nature's lighting system, and also the only program of the year in which the fans would not be held hostage through an infamous Port Royal Thundercar B-main. Phil Walters orbits in turn 2 without injury. Todd Schaeffer took the lead from John Matrafalio for his second Labor Day win in a row.
Yeah, we started the year and our goal was 10, and then we had a pretty good beginning of the year and we got 10, so we stepped it to 20. So I think we'll just take what we get from here. We're definitely going to win the rest of the races we go to, but we got our 20, so we're pretty happy. This one here, I'll tell you, winning here in the daylight means a lot to us.
After the port, all the true addicts are up Route 35 to Selingsgrove for another one, and a double at that. Ron Kramer's in trouble in the third turn. Many different winners this year, but also many flag-to-flag wins. Tonight it's Chris Esch, the envy of many in the Selingsgrove Victory Lane. The Super Sportsmen were also led wire to wire by the 29 of Scott Kleinfelter, scoring his second feature win of the year.
Struggled all year long. Finally, we won at Big Diamond. We won here. We start up front, but I'll tell you what, in this division, you got to be fast to stay up front.
Well, Scott, the way you were getting around, you must like this big half mile.
Well, I didn't until tonight.
The micro sprints had another wild year across the circuit, competing both on their own tracks and in special appearances at facilities normally used by full-sized racers. Approximately 500 of these affordable little racers now exist across the central Pennsylvania circuit. A night at the micro races can yield a flip count in the double digits. Here's a sampling including action from the Linda's, Trailway, Seaford, Delaware, Path Valley, and Grandview Speedways. While the late models once rivaled the sprinters in popularity in Central PA, the present-day multitude of classes has made name drivers and inter-track rivalries a thing of the past for the stockers. Despite having to race for their own back gate, several divisions still manage some fine racing, not to mention plenty of action. Hang on. As seen here, the blue number 3 of Sam Ross took his share of detours en route to the 91 Williams Grove Limited Sprint Championship. In Central PA, the long-established classes of sprints, super sportsmen, and micro sprints have been joined in the last 3 years by the Cars Limited Sprints, mini sprints, and even 4-cylinder sprints. Having watched a popular late model class be devoured by class after class of stock car backgate patters, our soapbox is concerned. However, the limiteds do seem to be working out well. First, the limiteds have demonstrated the valuable ability to cross over to the full sprinters. Also, although modest, the limiteds insist on a purse. This has nearly restricted the class to Williams Grove, but also has helped build a full field, and some darn good racing is being presented. While action abounds as seen here, the Cars Limited Sprints are not one of those PITA classes which constantly stop on the track bringing out yellow flags. Watch for more on this class from us here in the future. September 6th. Consistent Mike Wagner will edge out Joey Allen for the Port Royal Point Championship tonight at the Tuscarora 50, as it's time for the season finales. Craig Eschenauer led for 31 circuits, racking some serious lap money. Barry Camp bisected his sprinter off the third turn rail. Barry calms his nerves with a Port Royal coffee. Todd Schaeffer took the lead and opened it up, dominating the 2 season-ending classics here for the 2nd year in a row. Also, a collection for injured Paul Latier netted $6,000 from generous Port Royal fans tonight. September 7th, Lincoln Speedway. Greg Plank wheelied over far enough to bring out the only red in the Pennsylvania Sprint Championship. Jeff Shepard held off Steve Smith to win previously at the Grove. But can he do it here among the lap traffic of Smith's home track? He does. And with his brother Judd on hand, after making a quick recovery from a scary head injury here 2 weeks ago, Jeff could not be happier.
Jeff, congratulations. First of all, you have gone down in the history books twofold tonight.
I'm telling you what, we've been trying all year, and if we're going to win one of them, might as well win the one with the most money, I'll tell you what.
There goes the champagne everywhere. Everybody getting a champagne shower down here in Victory Lane.
September 8th at Susquehanna heralds the arrival of Greg Plank in his low-budget number 15. Greg led the feature for a convincing 10 laps before Randy Wolf slipped by in his winning drive. Tim Hershey prepares for what will be a great late-season track surface at Williams Grove. Friday the 13th is bad luck for Glenn Fitzcharles as he's at the wrong place on the start of the feature. The High Point men make it through the field. The 69 of Donnie Kreitz came from 10th, battling a separating wing, and still managed to take the lead on the 16th lap from Fred Raymer. It's Donnie's 5th Grove win of the year. Lincoln, September 15th. 25 of Dan Dietrich takes the lead from another comer, Steve Rose, in his number 38 on the 8th lap. Root that bad luck bus to Lincoln and save a seat for Mimi DeSantis. It's Mimi's first time back to Lincoln since breaking his kneecap here in July. Track operators might note that cement walls are not maintenance-free. Mimi was about the only thing not hurt in this one. Donnie Kreitz and Steve Smith are both zeroing in on leader Dietrich among Lincoln lap traffic. The blue 69 gets there first, coming from 11th to take the lead on the 16th lap and then holding off Smith for Kreitz's 2nd win of the weekend. The newest class to the area is the mini sprints. Mark Richards, number 5, usually wins these. Mark was far enough in front to coast under the checkers with a blown engine. How about a real sprint or sportsman ride for this obvious talent?
Well, Mark, you've won 4 out of 6 races now here at Lincoln Speedway this season, and I guess you could say that you got this track dialed in pretty good.
Well, I love this place. The high banks is what I love, and it's just a thrill to come down here and run. The cars, maybe the track's a little bit big for us, but I think we still put on a pretty good show.
September 15th, Sunday racing at Susquehanna is the area's best-run sprint show. The complete lack of fiddle-faddle often finds us home at 9:30. Working fans may attend. Heat action is the end for PA point contender Steve Smith. New winners continue to emerge thanks to the points handicapping. 41 of Dave Haight holds off Jeff Shepard on his way to the win tonight at Susky.
Did you feel any pressure tonight with all the bad luck you've been having?
I didn't feel pressure from bad luck. I felt pressure from that yellow car behind me, I'll tell you. And everybody else back there. They were there, so.
September 21st, Bob Weave is in from Iowa for the All-Star 10,000 to win Selinsgrove Open. Friday night's preliminary feature went to the 17 of Chris H. after challenger Frankie Kerr found the rail. Saturday night dippers were Doug Zucco and our new friend Bob Weave. The National was quite a show. Leaders Fred Raymer and Donnie Kreitz tangled out early, returning the lead to pole sitter Johnny Mackison, number 65. Kenny Jacobs took first on the 19th lap. Mackison actually dropped to third before rallying late in the race, climaxing in a final turn of the final lap Mack attack on leader Jacobs, which would be called the move of the year.
You just put on one H of a show.
Yeah, we were going pretty good at the beginning there, and I had a few times I messed up myself and sort of fell to the back, and it worked out that we got in the right position there at the red flag. We still had a lot of rubber left on our tire, and we thought maybe we had a good shot to win the deal, and Kane just put on a good show for everybody.
Speaking of good show, the Limiteds continue to win us over with shows like September 22nd. Ron Mayberry flips hard without injury. Veterans of the full sprinters, Jimmy Schaeffer, number 57, and Ron Kramer, number 11, duel for the feature lead. John Becker's attempt to take second from Kramer finds both drivers out for the night. The restart finds another veteran of the full sprinters, Bernie LeMaster, and the number 60 making the winning move.
Well, Bernie, once again, you're the 10th winner in this limited division. This thing has come a long way.
Well, this is really competitive, and I'll tell you, even it don't matter how tough it gets and how competitive it gets, this is the most fun that I've ever had racing these things in a long time.
September 28th, the Silver Spring 100 pays $4,000 to win and at least $1,300 for fifth. But then competition is very tough as Russ Mitten flips in qualifying action. The number 5 of Jim Shuttlesworth leads the 77 of Howie Locke early in the 80 green flag laps. Locke and Shuttlesworth swapped the lead several times before Locke sustained a small advantage. Donnie Beaver, number 10, moved into second before dropping out. Dwight Live, number 47, also made a run at the leaders but would finish fourth. Bobby Weaver, number 71, came back from a mid-race spin to take second on the final of 400 turns and almost first in a photo finish that had the packed grandstands in a tizzy.
I tell you what, it was a damn good race right down to the very last lap. I never even seen Weaver there. We were just cruising around the top trying to save the car, and when the yellow came out there at the end, concerned me a little bit because I looked down at the temperature gauge and we were running pegged.
September 29th finds four-cylinder Sprints and Sammy Swindell both making special Susquehanna appearances. No time trials for the Keystone 40 lapper, as the lineup tonight is actually stacked in favor of the regulars. Immortal Sammy and his number 1 started 12th. Sammy only advanced to third in the quickly run feature, but he put on a show that you will seldom get when he starts on the pole. Steve Smith took the lead from Dan Dietrich for his 4th Susquehanna win of the year. After Labor Day, Williams Grove battles Friday night football with several more events, accumulating with the prestigious 2-day National Open. Scott Walls catches a rut, Alan Hewitt catches a tire. No injuries. Sammy Swindell starts first in the World of Outlaw Friday night preliminary feature. Kinzer started third. Wolfgang again stayed home. The King will have problems. While attempting to take second from cousin Mark on lap 3, Steve hooked the cush and cleared the rail. With the excitement over, Sammy led every lap unharassed except by a bad cold.
You sound like you're nursing a cold or something. How you feeling?
Hey, I got something here. I don't know. I don't talk too good.
We'd hate to see you at full strength.
Rains found the 50-lap open postponed to Sunday afternoon. Here the superstars battle for exact front row positions in a 5-lap dash. When Dave Haight rolled the 41, it was the first time we've seen Van May's racer upside down all year. The number change from 69 must have helped. Steve Kinzer took the lead early. However, when Steve's tire went flat, a red flag for Joey Kuhn's rollover allowed Steve's crew to make repairs. Then Kinzer flat out spun. Officials ruled Steve had completed the 20 laps prior to the scheduled fuel stop, and Kinzer was again restarted in front. This still was not Kinzer's race, as the 77 of Stevie Smith does what is seldom done by anyone other than Swindell and Wolfgang, passing the leading number 11. A late race caution closed the field up on Stevie, but it was a very popular first outlaw win of the year for the area's own Stevie Smith.
When Kinzer was kind of all over the racetrack, and as we said, doing wheelies, I wonder what's going through your mind. Are you figuring you might try the outside or the inside, or you just more or less take what comes?
Well, my girlfriend was telling me to just keep my head straight and do my best, so that's what we did, and it just seemed to work out good.
We're out of time for now, so until next year, see you around the ovals.